Now, welcome to another news from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And we don't have much today, but let's get to the news anyway.
Okay, first we've got the Mandalorian costume department announced their wrap on Season 3. So, the wrap from the costume department means that we should see the wrap on principal photography any day now, after they've been shooting, for 6 months at this point. That's good news. It means it's coming. It's moving along. This was posted on Instagram. The Grogu pins from the image are likely the wrap gifts, which are given to members of cast and crew once they finish their work. So we're still looking at a late this year or early next year for Mando Season 3.
Which lines up perfectly with everything else we know.
Mm-hmm. I believe there was also some follow-up post about we'll see you in a couple of months or we'll see you in a month or whatever for the costuming crew, because maybe they're also working on Ahsoka.
Interesting. Well, there's also that other rumored project that's about to kick off to filming that might be High Republic. Who knows? Who knows how true any of that is? But no, I'd imagine late this year, very early next year. That seems like almost every year now we were getting a show like sometime in December into January, like when the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian and then Book of Boba Fett all kind of filled that same Christmas-y holiday season time slot. I'm just curious about Bad Batch too. I originally I thought we had heard this year in the summer or spring, and now we're hearing nothing about it. So curious to know what's going on with that.
Delay. I don't know why.
I don't know why either. Usually they're pretty good about getting a yearly show out when they're doing the animation, and it was a shorter season than they ever had with Clone Wars. So curious to know what's going on there.
Who could say?
Yeah, but always interested to know what the schedule is going to be. If we're going to have a gap between Andor and Mandalorian, or if there's going to be a Bad Batch in there somewhere. So, open for some Bad Batch Season 2. I thought Season 1 was pretty good and had a lot of potential.
Maybe they got distracted by the other super secret animation projects or whatever they got.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There's another one. I mean,
there's always another.
As I keep saying, I'm sure Star Wars Celebration, late May, a lot of questions will be answered. I'm hoping, again, to have sort of a roadmap going forward for the next couple of years where, not maybe the way Marvel does it, where they're announcing 5 years from now we will have Fantastic Four. They are way ahead of the game. I do hope Lucasfilm can eventually get to a similar level where we do have somewhat of a roadmap instead of being we have these shows in production and we'll get them out someday, we promise. But then some of them don't ever make it.
It's sad.
It is. Anyway, fact. Yeah, let's move on to the next story.
All right, our next story, we've got Troy Kotsur actually won Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars. He won the Oscar for his work in Coda, but he's also part of the Star Wars family, so that's what we're going to talk about him. He's actually the first deaf actor to appear in a Star Wars project, as he played a Tusken Raider in Chapter 5 of Mandalorian, but he's also credited in Book 1 of Boba Fett for creating the Tusken Sign Language.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah. In early 2020, he actually spoke to Daily Moth about his Star Wars fandom and why he decided to make a new language for the Tuskens. He said, 8 years old. I have been a fan since that age. Remember that in the year 1977, technology was limited and accessibility for deaf people were limited, but that Star Wars movie blew my mind. It changed my life. Why, it was like wet eyes. So visual for me. The first 5 minutes, remember the opening of that movie? The spaceship shooting, robots, C-3PO scrambling and all that? Overwhelmed my eyes. I watched it 28 times.
That's impressive.
Well, and it's really interesting to think of how perspectives in filmmaking and everything has changed. The fact that back then, they didn't really have subtitled showings of...
No, I mean, you had your local theater and they were accommodating your, probably your town or city, wherever you lived, and not really thinking... Beyond anything of that,
Yeah, can this be enjoyed by everyone? Yeah. Which Star Wars should be enjoyed by everyone, clearly. He also went on to explain why he wanted to avoid American Sign Language for the Tuskens. I mean, he could have just used it, and he chose not to.
I was curious if it was based on anything, if it was... I knew it was an actual sign language, I'd heard that, but I didn't know if they'd actually come up with a system or they were just kind of improvising some signs that they needed, or if there was an actual whole thing behind it.
He said, I did some research on the culture and environment of Tusken Raiders. Anyway, my goal was to avoid American Sign Language. I made sure it became Tusken Sign Language based on their culture and environment.
That's cool.
He wanted it to be its own thing.
Authentic.
It is more authentic when alien races all have their own, language aside from Basic. So why would you expect Tuskens to sign in Basic?
You mean when they do more than put white makeup on their face and say, hey, look, we have an alien race. Oh, wait, we did the Pawoons in Episode 3 and they looked a million times better. Oops. But no, I love when they go it's those little details that really just flesh out the world and immerse you, isn't it? That's why I think that's why people are upset when you see like the Grand Inquisitor, because like, come on, that takes you out of it, because it does look like a guy in white makeup, right?
Exactly.
Whereas if you watch episode 3, it looks like an alien.
Well, what he did makes sense. Tuskens do not speak Basic, so why would they sign in Basic?
Well, that's true. They would have their own. They would have a language based on what they need. Their own, bantha and water and strange black melons we dig out of the ground. They would have. They wouldn't
have their own words.
Yeah, they wouldn't have words for a lot of things that we, of course, here in the real world have words for. So it makes sense that you would kind of create your own language, and I think that's awesome. And what I love about the story is, you always love hearing people inspired by Star Wars. And,
exactly.
That's what Star Wars should be. It should be an inspiration. And I think why people get so upset, not to get way off topic, but when people get upset about some of the, you want films to inspire you. You want them to transport you to another galaxy or another fantastic land. You don't want to be reminded always of the real world, and that's it's always good to hear someone. I saw Star Wars and I wanted to create my own Star Wars. I want to do my own thing. Not that they tried to preach to me.
And what else is interesting is a couple of months before the premiere of Book of Boba Fett, Kotsur was made an honorary member of the 501st for bringing depth to our beloved Star Wars characters and developing the language of the Tusken Raiders. His award was given to him by a Tusken.
A real Tusken?
Yes, a 501st Tusken Raider.
Oh, okay.
Who signed to him in the Tusken language.
That's awesome.
It is.
No, very awesome.
How else can you show appreciation? Than to go, not only did you create the language, but we learned it.
I didn't know they had Tuskens, and the 501st, they do amazing work, but I didn't know
they expanded to villains. You can be... there is a Tusken army.
Tuskens aren't villains. Come on, careful. They're misunderstood.
There is a huge section of Tusken Raiders in the 501st.
Oh, that's
just
cool.
like Jawas are. There's Jawas in there. A lot of people whose kids get into it do Jawa costumes.
No. Okay.
I know stuff.
You do. Sometimes your knowledge of the more tertiary stuff impresses me.
Next news story, we got Matt Lanter was in the hospital for an emergency surgery. His wife posted that something has happened to Matt Lanter this week and ended up with him needing emergency surgery on Thursday last week. We don't really have any details on what had happened to him. I mean, it's personal. We don't need the details.
I was just going to say that exact thing. I don't really quote unquote care what the details are. You just hope, obviously he's doing well, and whatever it is
But
not
on
too serious.
Monday, Ashley Eckstein posted support for her Sky Guy as her hashtag Mental Health Monday post. So that's a little confusing to me. So is this something to do with mental health, or is it physical? Is she just using that hashtag for her weekly mental health post? I don't really know.
Like I said, I don't
There's
really...
no answers.
Yeah, I don't really want to... I mean, it's his own personal problems, and, he should be respected for his, his privacy and all of that. I don't really care. So, you just hope it's, you wish people the best when you hear something is wrong mentally, physically.
To Matt Lanter.
Yeah, he's from everything I've ever seen, every interview I've ever seen, anything I've ever read about him, seems like a really cool guy. I love Star Wars, so hopefully whatever it is, something that is... he gets over and moves on.
So our last piece of news today, midnight Pacific, we have MoonKnight premiering on Disney+. Very much looking forward to that. We'll have a review coming out.
Probably tomorrow sometime.
Probably.
Almost certainly.
But I'm excited for it. I know there's early reviews out there. I haven't read any of them. I kind of want to go in a little more blind, aside from trailers and a few minor things here and there.
Not completely blind, but yeah.
No, not completely blind. I do know a little bit about MoonKnight.
Yeah, he's not a character I am overly familiar with, for sure.
It'd be cool if he can actually transition from Disney Plus to a movie. I mean, the Blade movie is coming, and we know we've got Black Knight out there. The three of them actually had a, group at one time, I think with one other. I can't remember exactly. I'm sure somebody knows. I don't, but that's fine.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll be checking that out. Probably staying up late tonight, getting up early, and doing the review. So if you're interested, check that out tomorrow. We'll also try to do a news from Naboo, assuming there's news. There's always, today, we're probably stretching it a little, but again, we like to bring these to you. We like to talk, and hopefully, again, if you're listening this long, you enjoy listening. So for now, that's all we've got for you. So leave your comments below. Tell us what you think about any of this news. Tell us what you think about anything at all, I guess. And until next time, thanks for watching.